Well, it's funny, you used to be an intuitive pilot when you were a full-time pilot, but now you are an expert on the new children coming through. In fact, the name of your book is The Quantum Children, A Parent's Guide for the 21st Century, The Quantum Children Supporting Your Child on Their Soul's Path. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can shake. So before we talk about what's new about the children and what's very special about them and maybe how they're going to save the world, according to that picture, you were a pilot. You're probably still a pilot.
Still am.
Still am, okay. You discovered you had some intuitive abilities at a certain point which made you a better pilot. And now that you're teaching other pilots in some aspects, you can teach them things just aren't about cause and effect. If this happens, why not open yourself up to the whole spectrum of possibilities to keep yourself and everyone else safe? Is that accurate?
I love to talk about our state of being.
State of being.
And as a captain, we've always known from a psychological point of view that we set the tone for the airplane, the crew, and all of that.
Absolutely.
But no, we set the tone for the entire quantum field, and sending love to your airplane. It's energy. It's not an inanimate object. We frequently, you don't show it, but we'll pat the nose of the airplane almost like you would the dog or whatever scratch.
Yes.
But it's a love that you express in a state of being creates all kinds of different quantum effects instead of all of the fear. I mean, just think of the level of stress the average person has when they come through TSA.
Sure.
Oh my God, I mean, the government loves it. I mean, they have put 20,000, 50,000 people in fear and stress, and they love it. And as a pilot, I recognized post 9/11 the level of stress people would get on my airplane, and I would align myself for ease and grace.
You would align yourself for ease and grace, and there was one particular instance, you told me a story, I'd like you to tell again, of where that came into play, where you may have saved a whole plane full of people.
Well, things happen.
Yep.
And I have a master's in mind-based medicine. I focus on deep trance hypnotherapy, and I have on occasion looked at the energies behind the scenes of what actually triggered an event, like Sully's landing in the Hudson River.
Yes.
And we realized there's a lot more mass consciousness energy at play. And I had one where simply we went through a huge flock of birds coming out of Dulles.
Very dangerous.
My airplane, I'm looking at the engine instruments, my other pilots with me, there's 3 co-pilots, and there's not a single ripple with the engines, no vibration. And we wound up continuing, talked to the company,
Now,
wound
that's
up
unusual.
continuing.
That many birds flying in the engines, there's more than a ripple that happens.
Well, I don't know actually how many went through the motors,
Okay.
but the flock was well over 200 birds, it seemed like. But even though we hit them,
and there was a...
well, the smell of roast chicken was there. We knew we went through them, and we knew some had been ingested in the engines, but the engines didn't shut down, and I was going to have to dump 250,000 pounds of gas to go back into Dulles.
Right.
The motors flying, airplanes flying fine. It flew halfway around the world. At top of descent into Tokyo, it was as if I had 4 brand new motors.
Yes.
We landed in Tokyo, our major maintenance base, and the plane was out of service for 3 days. But for my effect, I was like I had a brand new airplane flying, and other things people do can cause huge levels of drama and trauma, and we just were not taught, the general public isn't taught, how we are creating our reality and all of these different levels. And
So you
it's fascinating.
attribute your safe passage to not just your actions under the pressure of what was happening, but also your state of being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And until we look at it after the fact,
Yes.
and let's face it, most people don't have the talent or education to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And that's some of the stuff I've done with my quantum children work, where I would actually hypnotize, in book number 2,
Yeah.
parents, highly intuitive, a lot of them working psychic, parents, to get information from their higher self about the kids and why they're here. And all of that was designed to help them support the child
Yeah.
on their soul's path. Well, these kids coming in, they're here for a new earth.
Yeah, let's talk about these new kids. And let's show your books to the screen here.
This is book number 1, the blue one, and book number 2.
And how did you come about to know that the children being born now are different, and how are they different?
That's a lot of the internal guidance we were talking about off camera. A lot of my guidance and information comes from the light councils that are here to support the new children.
So for the people who don't know who the light councils are,
Boy.
let's just say they're galactic beings that
The
are
light
available.
beings.
Light beings.
The
okay.
light beings, and there are light councils over every planet, every sector of the planet. In this instance, Mother Mary is the most well-known. Probably Mary Magdalene is part of the all of these amazing ascended masters that are here helping the children. But you have to realize these children are not just children; they're souls. They are absolutely off the chart, amazing souls that are coming here for a new earth.
Right.
And we're in a time of transition. So
Everyone can feel the transition happening right now.
there's a lot of the energy that, unfortunately, as we still know, is part of the old paradigm.
Yes.
And the more that I can empower a parent to be present in the moment, to shift the paradigms, because let's face it, how many of us have raised fifth-dimensional children? And the more information I can gather that's going to be helpful, 80 to 90% of these kids are empathic and highly empathic. Well, if a parent has no point of reference for what an empath goes through,
How sensitive they are, what they're taking in, yeah.
the sensitivities, now you live as the sensitivities of these new children in every way is off the charts.
Off the charts, yeah.
And the structures in our society do not take that into account. They say,
don't.
you fix,
No.
you set up yourself to match us, not the other way around.
You want to tell that quick story before we go about your friend's kid in school?
The last interview I did was with Master Chris Natsky, and 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo. And Chris opens with, he says, my son got kicked out of kindergarten. Yeah, he was teaching the other kids about black holes, but they actually moved him up to first grade when he was teaching photosynthesis. 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids out there may not even be quite that eloquent or articulate on certain subjects, but they are sensitive. They are coming in with more, and they're getting misplaced, and homeschooling probably be best for many of them.
I love homeschooling.
Yeah.
And a lot of my work will be, one of the things in book 3 that I'm focused on is writing a section on what I would teach if I were in charge of the education system.
I'm sorry, that's your next book?
Yes. the
That's a
next
good
book.
one. Okay.
I'll also have multidimensionality in that, and I'm working with Jerry Wills, another intuitive healer. I'm going to have him write a chapter or two, but just on the education system,
Yeah.
what would you teach, Scott? You probably have your own ideas.
I would teach certainly emotional intelligence, so that they know what to do with frustration and anger. Okay. I would also make them aware of their relationship to the earth and the universe. Get out in nature, lie on the grass, play. Have a lot of play, because so much is learned through play. I would start there. How about you?
Well, tuning into your inner guidance.
Yes, big one.
Meditation. The Dalai Lama said point blank, if every 8-year-old was taught how to meditate, within 2 generations, all violence on the planet would be gone. That's just meditation alone.
Yoga does that too. Yoga for kids.
The how energy works,
Yes.
how we create our reality. Any and all of these type things about what we really understand. Instead, unfortunately, the public school system determines what they deem as important.
Yeah.
They're going to teach you that, how you learn it, when you learn it, the entire
Well, sort of
gamut.
assembly line. When the assembly lines came about in industrial America, we turned the schools into that. Our people are turning into that. We're becoming computerized with phones and launches. But I want people to be able to go to your site to get these books and find out more about you. Where should they go?
Well, it's michaelorwig.com.
Michael Orwig, ORWIG.com.
.com, and I have my books there. That's also on Amazon, and I have my other interviews. I'm trying to do as many interviews as I can.
Sure.
Like with Master Chris Nansky, here's a guy that is an incredible speaker. With just a little bit of tweaking, we changed his normal talk into much more metaphysical, and we were talking about mentoring the divine masculine.
Yes, good time.
And here he is as a mentor all the time, and his master that he studied with was a Korean, and he was talking about just how he modeled what he does, and that's such an important aspect for all of us to recognize. Is I'm modeling for my kids, which are now in their 30s and 40s, but I'm modeling for all of my grandkids. I have 10 grandkids now, and it's far more than what I say. It's everything, the state of being, the gentleness, the random acts of kindness we're able to bring forward, and it's there's so much good work doing out there, but honestly, I consider these new children one of the great illusions because we're so visual.
Yeah.
Their entire operating system underneath is for unity consciousness. And all of the old paradigms, the fear, competition, control, what I call separation consciousness, is like a virus to the computer. And I see these kids literally as a new species of human. It's gotten to be that much. They're holding that much more vibrational energy. Their DNA's changing or is coming in for the new Earth, whereas a lot of us go through activations to raise our vibration.
That's right, we need to do that, yeah.
Theirs is coming in naturally, holding the vibration.
I want them to go to your website to find out more. Thank you for being here, Michael. This was great.
Absolute pleasure,
Very
Scott.
illuminating conversation.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you.